history. You hear about this and you read about that. I don't want to look at Grumpy Cat. This is how to watch TV. What's that I hear? You hear the Lost finale. It's not your fault that you can't see what we see. This is how to watch TV. On Comeuppance Network. This is how to watch TV. On Comeuppance Network. This is how to watch TV.
Chronologically Lost with Joel and Jenna. My name's Joel.
My name is Jenna. We're brought to you by Comeuppance Network, and you can find all of our social media links at thishishowtowatchtv.com.
Jeremy was so thrown off last night. Because, are you warming your hands up over the open flame?
It actually really feels good.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. Jeremy was struggling so hard with, I think it got in his head that we were doing a show on the Jay and Jack network. And like,
well,
so
it's been a while since you guys have podcasted, so he probably just forgot.
Game of Thrones.
What do I say?
We ended up having to start over because of technical difficulties as well. But we were both like, what's it called?
If you went back and watched or listened to the very first Lost podcast, I'm sure I was terrible.
I don't think you did it on the first one. I think I busted your balls because you didn't know it, and like I had never told it to you.
Yeah, and
like an idiot. Like I'm just like, what? You don't know the thing?
Say something. Well, even like the next few times I had it written down, like, right. And I was like, we're brought to you by...
Right, but can you imagine forgetting it now? Like, it's so embedded in you. It's like those stupid passwords for RDS that I know, and they're bizarre strings of nonsense, and like it's just embedded in my fucking brain.
But I copy and paste all that stuff. I don't even like memorize.
There's just some for like the website and things that I need to know. And
asterisk, capital O.
Oh no, not that one. That one's the most ridiculous password I've ever had to try to write down or say. Writing it down is easy. Sorry, saying it, because you have to clarify what's capital. You have to clarify asterisks. You have to clarify numbers. It's so ridiculous. I hate it.
But they're good. Whatever.
Yes. Anyway,
it's a little warm over here.
Oh, now you're warm. Okay, I see how it is. Well, we start. This is Chronologically Lost, episode 94, covering 2007 on the island, days 10 to 11. So these are two fresh days. Last one was 8 to 9. So this is the first time we've even skipped a little bit there. There's usually a crossover from 6 to 7, 7 to 8. So they finished a day. We got the nice timing of an edit there. I don't know. This episode was compelling.
It was good.
It's answers galore.
I felt like it was like. Bleh, all these answers that
that's what people were begging for. I know,
but they were stupid answers. A lot of them were like, eh.
Well, okay, we'll go through them one by one when we get to them.
Yes.
I want you to tell me what answers were stupid when we get there. Okay, so day 10, we start at the beach camp, and Hurley replaces Libby's flower at her grave. I don't remember any of this stuff.
I don't remember that either, but I mean, it made sense that because this one was one of the stupid ones to me, like where he sees all the other dead people except for her. So, and I had complained about that before.
Right.
And he's there like, I wish you would come and talk to me, but they still never did that. Was there something with her character? Because Ana Lucia came back, even though I thought she was fired for some drinking scandal.
First of all, that's common misconception, I think, at this point. It's become almost folklore that she and her were both fired for DUIs or whatever. But they had this plan for the characters all along. Michelle Rodriguez was never going to be on the show permanently. She was in movies.
But they did get DUIs while they were there filming.
Valid.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, it probably worked out well that they were like, all right, well,
but they get
you
to
guys
come
are
back.
done now.
They both came back. Libby was the one I was going to be fucking furious if she didn't come back in the Sideways or in...
But she never came back and talked to Hurley.
Not to Hurley, because that would have spoiled the eventual connection.
Right, I get it, but whatever.
Yeah, they saved that for the afterlife in a way, which is weird.
I think so. I don't know. I mean, it was nice. He was putting he took a dead flower down and put a new flower up. Yeah. And I mean, but he's at their original beach camp or at the second beach camp?
When you say original beach camp, what do you mean?
Like crash site.
The crash site is not considered beach camp.
Okay, there was a different beach camp.
Yeah, they moved down and went to the beach camp where they had like all the Dharma food stocked.
And that was the only beach camp that they ever had.
Correct.
Okay. And then they had the caves. So everybody's buried at beach camp.
Yes.
Or behind it.
We
in
visited the
grass.
graves there. Yeah, we stood
Okay.
in the grave Ben dug.
Nice.
We got a picture in that. I don't know if I've said this before, but I filmed a bunch of stuff, and I hate myself for what I filmed.
Well,
it's
yeah, you were
garbage.
like holding it down at your
I was
side.
literally just dragging it along with me, like, oh, if I'm filming, as long as I'm filming, brr, brr, brr.
Yeah.
It's like every step, it's just all,
Oh,
it's
God.
unbelievable. I don't know what I was fucking thinking.
You should have had it on your shoulder.
If I had
like,
just
Mom.
put it on a tripod and set it down and let
And
us walk
did
around.
what?
No,
With a
I'm saying
giant
when we were
camera.
there, like just set
Oh,
it down
yeah.
and then just film the beach. I didn't get a single shot. That's just like a static shot of the
Oh,
beach
yeah.
camp. It's such an idiot. I didn't film myself getting the piece of tarp from the tarp store. You know, like those kind of things piss me off. Like now
Yeah.
it's like, why wasn't I documenting it right?
Right.
I think the iPhones weren't quite there yet.
No, they weren't. They
It was like a
definitely were not.
3GS at that point, or a 3G.
I hate going back and watching some of the old videos of the kids.
because they're so
They're
not
so
crisp.
grainy,
Yeah.
and that it makes me regret getting rid of my little handheld camera. Not that, I mean, what do you do with that though? Like, nothing.
Yeah.
Who's really gonna sit down and watch those home movies on that digital
Yeah.
whatever?
Anyway, Alana wants to go get dynamite to blow up the plane. That was a nice segue, right?
Yeah.
Just right back into it. She asks about the grave. He tells her about Libby, and then he hears whispers, and Michael shows up. So the first connection, my question is this. I know he doesn't give us the answer yet, but were the whispers always for Hurley? And only for Hurley? No, because other people heard the whispers too.
Other people heard the whispers, and then like
But were they
Walt
maybe
would show
trying-
up,
but-
and then.
Do you think they could have been trying to communicate with somebody from the afterlife and they never could quite until Hurley?
I don't know. I mean, the whispers then appeared. They appeared, and Shannon appeared. Now she was dead.
No, it was Walt appeared to Shannon. Did Shannon also appear as
I
a
thought
whisper?
Shannon appeared to Boone. Who died first?
Boone died
Boone
first.
died first. So Shannon appeared to Boone. That was when they were hallucinating. They were.
He was
taking that.
literally hallucinating.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was just a few other times where, like, the whispers were there and then the others were there when they were dragging the bear. And, like,
Yeah.
I mean, it just, they...
Well, what I'm thinking is this. What if it was people who died that were trying to warn them? You know,
Like-
that are stuck there. People like Michael. They're like, they're going, hey, get out of here. And, you know, watch out for this. And he can't get
guess.
through, but only Hurley could. You know, I was just thinking of a different spin on the whispers. What if it was about Hurley? Like they were always trying to find the person they could communicate with. Think
But
about how many people he's already talked to.
Then why was...
Isabel.
Why was Isabel there? She did not die on the island.
She had
has
unfinished business
no
with Ricardus.
business being on the island.
I mean, if
That-
we're going with ridiculous, then
I mean,
fine.
they're
you know.
they're grasping for things to, like, bring dead people back to the island.
So you don't think that they... Okay, I guess then the better question is, do you think that this was always the answers for the whispers?
No, I think that they really were thinking that it would be a good idea to have the others whisper and creepy. And then they were like, oh, well, now there's a black smoke. So, you know, maybe...
Well, but it's not even tied to the smoke
No,
monster.
I think they had no idea. And then it made sense for it to be dead people. But
So you're saying it makes sense?
it's okay as an explanation, but that's not how it was the whole show is my problem.
That it was that you think they were intentionally misleading, not just creating mystery around the question.
No, they had. I don't think that they knew what they were doing with the whispers, and then once they decided, they were like, "Oh, it's always been dead people."
Okay, does it bother you that it's
Yes.
that they didn't know?
It bothers me that they acted like it's always been the dead people, but it doesn't work in all the scenarios. There was so many scenarios.
But what if it's the dead people trying to talk to? I mean, it's a magical island. Okay, so there's dead people floating around all the time.
No, the dead people that died there can potentially be floating around. I get it.
I mean, you
That's
say
fine.
that, but easily.
But they're not really floating around. I mean, they're just appearing to people, which how does that...
But what if they had been trying to?
So they're like in purgatory on the island. They're stuck
Correct.
there. But Isabel didn't die there, so she doesn't belong there.
Okay, what if Jacob brought her there? I'm just throwing shit out there. What
Her
if
dead body?
No, she didn't physically appear on the island. Physical apparition is when it's the smoke monster.
I know, but it really seemed like they made it out because at
She
one
did.
point she was talking and
She was.
Hurley wasn't, and then it was like he felt her.
That was when Hurley was explaining that she was there.
I know.
And I think she was there. However, she appeared on the island as the smoke monster. Right when he was like stuck in the chains.
Based on his memories, but they
all that he said later in this episode, Jack said to Locke, he had to be dead for you to look like him, didn't he? Yes.
So is that them trying to explain why Ben's mom was outside the window?
Because she died.
But she didn't die on the island.
Correct.
We always So,
no, that's a good tie-in. I didn't even think about that.
But he looks at them and potentially steals all their memories or something.
He scans them.
Scans
good
them for their
fucking
memories.
point, too. I forgot about that.
And then is able to look like people that they remember.
That died. They
That
have to be
died. Yes,
dead for
I'm
him
sorry.
to look like
People-
them. This
yeah.
is revelatory here. Honestly, I
But-
never thought about this.
I mean, we had that conversation where we thought it
But
was
this is
a
more
smoke
info.
monster. Yeah. So I mean, they had to die in order for him to look like them. But Isabel with Ricardo, right, or Ricardus or whatever his name is, right there with Hurley. She wasn't actually there, but they made it like she was, but it wasn't the smoke monster.
Correct. She was there like Michael. They showed us two different things here in this same
Yes.
episode. They showed us Michael appearing to Hurley and not to Jack. And then they showed us Jacob, young Jacob, appearing to Desmond and Man and Locke.
And Sawyer.
And
saw
Sawyer
the little
before.
kid.
Right. So they're showing us the differentiation between the two types of people appearing.
So
Hurley, they're only appearing to Hurley because Hurley's always had the ability to see dead people.
Okay. All right.
That's why I'm pitching. Maybe the whispers were always for Hurley, but maybe he wasn't there when whispers occurred before, was he?
Okay, so you're saying that young Jacob is like
really there.
Is like Man in Black, where he can appear and everybody can see him, but
Correct.
he's dead. So young Jacob is there, and that's why Desmond and
Sawyer saw him.
can see him.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then the Hurley ones are ghosts.
Yes, but
which Miles has a similar thing, but it doesn't work that way for him. He doesn't get to physically sit and chat
right,
with them.
he can hear them, but he
can
has
hear their
to
last
see their
thoughts.
body. So
Or be near it.
or be near it. So, I mean, that makes sense because Hurley could talk to Charlie when he was off the island, and all these
Right.
people potentially died off the
Echo
island.
comes and plays checkers with them, or chess,
Right.
rather.
Okay, I mean, I guess that's
We're just kind of
better.
piecing together the lore of it, and that's the stuff that I don't think people are willing to do.
I know. I was irritated with the Michael conversation because, like, well, yeah, the whispers, but we're just all stuck here, and but it makes sense that Hurley's the only one that can talk to them. Is that the case? Have we proven that Hurley is the only one to have ever seen a whisper?
Yes.
I mean, everybody's heard them potentially.
Correct. I'm not sure that Hurley did. Maybe he was on one of those treks where they heard the whispers. Maybe he wasn't.
So when Saeed just heard the whispers and he ran out.
I remember that when he was going to find Danielle. They were probably trying to warn him that he was going to, but again, who would have been alive that would have been stuck on the island at that time? Or, who would have been dead that was would have been stuck there, Boone? I don't think he had even died yet. Maybe?
So are you saying that anybody that was on the island that died is potentially stuck in this purgatory and they're...
Potentially. Some probably aren't, but some could be.
And what would constitute them causing to be stuck in this purgatory? Because they're not yet at the church where everybody's
If we're
waiting?
going based on what Michael says in this episode, it's whether or not you did the wrong thing, like while you were there. And basically, he was almost saying that they're there because they had their purpose and he chose to go against it. So he's paying for that. Richard, when he didn't go against his purpose per se, but he did something wrong. So he was cursed to that island in a way. You know,
what did Richard do wrong?
He killed the doctor.
Yeah, but that punishment wasn't necessarily from the island. Jacob made him that. And
Jacob gave him an opportunity by bringing him to the island. Jacob didn't make him kill the doctor. Jacob rescued him from jail or death for the rest of his life. He was a slave.
Death for the rest of his life.
Well, you know, jail, and then I added death in there as another option, yes. But for the rest of his life, it would have happened either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gave him the option to come to the island, or he brought him there so he had a second chance. And if Richard had gotten there and done some stupid shit and died, he'd probably be stuck on the fucking island like Michael is. Michael's still trying to make up for shit. He didn't make up for it with the freighter.
I thought that they had unfinished business, and that's why or was that like Casper?
Right, you're thinking of a different property. So Mike, anyway, we got way off into a deep hole on that one, but he says he's here to stop Hurley from getting everyone killed. Opening credits at the beach camp. Hurley doesn't trust Michael because of obvious reasons. He's like, people are going to die, and it'll be your fault as people are listening to you now. Which makes sense. People are listening to Hurley all of a sudden. I don't really know why.
That's because he's being cocky all of a sudden.
Just act as if
he's
kind of thing.
Acting as if he knows what he's talking about. Yeah. So they believe him.
So Jack walks up and asks who Hurley's talking to. And he's like, no one, dude. And that's where I thought of are they for him? Maybe they're just for him. So Alana got 4 sticks of dynamite. Hurley's like, wait a minute. And she says she's been training her whole life for this. And he's like, to blow stuff up? No, to protect you. He's like, yeah, but how's that protecting us? Like, if you blow it up, the monster won't be able to leave, and then
we won't.
We'll be stuck here with it, and it'll be pissed off at us.
Right.
And she says Jacob said Richard would know what to do, and he said to blow up the plane. And Richard's like, yup. What if Richard's wrong? Alana's looking out for all their best interests. The thing is evil, and God help us if it ever leaves the island. Boom.
I was like, what? I don't remember that at all.
You don't remember her blowing herself
No.
up? That's the best. Because you asked what happened to Alana, and I'm like, you'll see.
Oh, my God.
Wasn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Did you shout it?
I did. I was like, because I was doing laundry, I think I dropped whatever I was like, oh, my God.
Now, I listened to the sound effect of it a few times, and it almost sounded like it roared. Like, it was almost like, was that the smoke monster? Was Alana on the list? You know, was she on Jacob's list?
Or maybe we didn't really notice, but it was Widmore that sent a bomb over and it hit her with the dynamite. And everybody just thought that the dynamite exploded, but it was really just Widmore blowing her up.
Right, that would have been the shit. At Man in Locke's camp, he's whittling a stick. He doesn't know what it's going to be, but it'll tell him eventually. Sawyer's pissed off they're not doing anything. He's like, look, there's a difference between doing nothing and waiting. They're waiting for their friends to get here. They all got back to the island together, so they all have to leave together, blah, blah, blah. We've heard it a million times. Said walks up all creepy and asks to speak to Man in Locke, and he has captured Desmond. Hurley finds a bag. Did you catch what that was? It was just like a drawstring bag, almost like a Crown Royal bag, but it had something in it.
Oh, see, I thought that was the diamonds that...
But Miles has them.
Yeah. So...
I forgot about that. He's going to be super rich when they get back.
Miles?
Yeah.
Well, isn't Hurley super rich?
Hurley's staying on the island.
I mean...
Miles is going to leave.
When he picked up that drawstring bag that it was the diamonds. What else would it have been?
I don't know. It was just...
I remember seeing that, and I was like, why would he have the diamonds? I wonder why Miles would be so careless about where they are.
He wouldn't. That's the answer
okay.
There. Ben asks what's next. Richard's like, more dynamite? Jack thinks they shouldn't, as he promised Sonny to get her off the island. Richard's like, I wish you hadn't done that. But if it makes you feel any better, blame me. I mean, he seems pretty adamant that he knows what to do for somebody who doesn't really know what to do.
Who?
Richard.
I don't know. I think he's just angry and taking it out on everyone.
Right. That's a good point. Like, he's finally getting to interact with people in a more meaningful way, I guess. Hurley says Richard is right, and Jack's like, fine. And then Hurley's like literally doing suspicious eyes.
Yeah.
Suspicious squinty eyes, just back and forth darting. He did that twice.
Okay, so let's go to the Black Rock.
Right, let's totally go there. At Man in Locke's camp, he says hello to Desmond. Desmond's like, I got nowhere to run, even if you do untie me. And he's like, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Why did Widmore bring him back to the island? He tells him about the shack and the electromagnetism. He knows from experience what it was. So Man in Locke would be aware of electromagnetism, as that was, the scientists had to have told him about that.
The fact that he didn't actually die had to give him some sort of...
No, I mean the scientists that Man in Locke used to know back when they dug the well by hand.
Yeah, I know. But wouldn't he have also known by the fact that he was there when the plane came and all the other crazy shit that's happened on the island? Like, he has to know.
That Desmond what?
Desmond was returned the key and somehow lived and, you know, all that. Like, he had to be there for that.
You would think, but I mean, there's stuff that he can't see on the island, so it makes you wonder what Jacob limited him from.
You don't think that he could just turn into smoke and kind of go up and, like, look?
He could never find the source.
Well, I get that.
I mean, but Jacob could have been hiding stuff from him.
Oh.
You know, he could have given him 80% of the island access.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? It's an interesting thought that, like, what were his powers?
Right.
So Man in Locke asks if he knows who he is, and he's like, of course, you're John Locke. So he's not even for a second thinking anything but Locke. You know,
Right.
he does. I don't think he even knows he died. And him and Man in Locke takes him for a walk. In the jungle, Ben, he's like, makes you think, huh? Alana, handpicked by Jacob, trained to protect you candidates. No sooner does she tell you what you are than she blows up. The island was done with her. Makes me wonder what's going to happen when it's done with us. I mean, not wrong. Richard,
Y'all gonna die.
they show up at the Black Rock, and Richard says he's the only one going to handle the dynamite. And then they realize Hurley's gone. He comes running out, shouting to run. And a huge explosion. Do you notice, like, the big mast piece that, like, fell down right in the middle of the shot there? Huge. It looks like a big pipe.
No.
Massive. The size, the scale of the Black Rock, I don't think is...
Well, those ships are insanely huge.
Yeah.
I mean, when we went on that cruise in May, it was just jaw-dropping to stand next to this big thing that's floating in the water.
Right.
It makes no sense at all. And then, like...
Makes no sense that you got on it then. That
Right.
You saw that and then went, yeah, no, this will be fine.
No, it's massive. And then they're like... I'm like, well, how many feet does it go underneath? Like, it's got to be, like, the same size under the water, right? And they're like, no, it only goes under, like, 25 feet. I'm sorry, what? Like, it's 20 stories tall. 20 stories. And it only goes 25 feet underwater.
That's like 2.5 stories?
How is that possible? That it doesn't just go...
I don't know, but it's horrifying. It's giving me that sweaty palms thing thinking about going on one of those.
There was so many times that, like, we went out on the balcony and Jeremy's like, look at how beautiful it is out here. Like at night, there's only the moon in the sky and you see nothing else. There's no lights. There's nothing. And you're like, you look over at the water crashing on the side of the ship. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go to bed.
Yeah, this is
like,
horrifying.
I mean, if we hit an iceberg, I mean, how are we going to get to the things on the 6th floor and then with the kids and all of our stuff? And like, oh my God.
So anyway, Hugo's protecting the island now, and Richard's like, yeah, we're all dead. Fuck it. Miles asks why he did that, and he's like, Michael told me to. He's like one of the people that come back and yell at me after they die.
Yeah.
He's like, does that happen a lot? Dead people yelling at you? Yeah, it happens enough. Dead people are more reliable than alive people. I love that he had to make the clarification, alive people.
But are they? I mean, so that's supposed to insinuate that the people that are dead that are coming and talking to Hurley are there with a pure purpose.
Okay.
Not like they're lying.
Let's think of who's done it so far. Charlie. He came there pretty pure.
Echo.
We don't know. We didn't see any of that. We just saw that he was
in the
playing.
Sideways, or is that?
No, that happened when he was in the mental institution. Echo was he was like, okay, your move, Mr. Echo, or
But
checkmate or
we
something.
haven't seen that yet?
We saw that. It was in the mental institution.
Oh,
he wasn't
okay.
there. It was just a blank, empty chair. But
Who wasn't there?
Mr. Echo. He doesn't come back.
Oh, he was talking to Mr. Echo, but we
Yeah.
never saw
We
him.
didn't see Mr. Echo. Yeah.
Okay.
But then the other people would be somebody like Isabel. So she had good intentions. Yeah, we haven't seen. Michael seems to be. Maybe you're right. Maybe the only people that come to him have good intentions.
I never thought about it. I mean, before I was thinking like, okay, so these people, Michael's coming back and Isabel's coming back because Jacob told them to or whatever. And otherwise, why would they come to him and who's playing what side? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I was questioning why he's believing them and if he should.
This is sort of. It feels almost like prep work for Jacobness, for him to be the next Jacob. Like he had that connection already. It's kind of showing us now that he was always meant to be the next guy to take over the island.
But was Jacob able to talk to dead people? Because we didn't know Jacob before, so it's kind of hard to.
Well, to be fair, Jacob hung out with his dead brother for most of his 30s.
His 30s that went on forever.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like yeah. I mean, he talked to that dead person all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, even though he knew it wasn't him.
But everybody can see that dead person. So that's not really a good point.
That is a good point. In the jungle, Man in Lock asks how long Desmond was pushing the button. 3 years. He's like, man, the island's got it in for you. He's like, no, it's got it in for all of us.
Yeah, we're all going to die.
And then they both see young Jacob, and Man in Lock says to ignore him angrily. And then Jacob smiles. I like young Jacob. That was they were setting up who the actor was going to be for the Across the Sea episode.
Oh, we hadn't met real Jacob yet?
We hadn't met young Jacob. We hadn't seen that yet.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Maybe this is the one right after it. We're close to the candidate episode.
Yeah.
I remember that one. So Richard wants to go to Dharmaville to get bombs and explosives, and Hurley's like, no, and he's like, well, what do we do to keep the monster from leaving? And he's like, Jacob told me that we have to talk to him. And Richard tells Hurley to ask Jacob what the island is. He was trying to get him to say the island is a cork.
Who was trying to say that? Get him to say that?
He was trying to get Hurley to say that Jacob said the island is a cork.
Oh,
because that's how he explained it to Hurley. I mean, that's how he explained it to Richard.
When?
In the second episode of Chronologically Lost.
Oh, I don't remember that.
He had the bottle, and he was like, the island's a cork. The stuff swirling around inside's the evil, and if the cork is open, the evil gets out, and there's no more world, essentially.
Okay.
Which is what they're trying to imply Man in Lock is. I just don't believe him.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. I love the show so much, but I don't believe a central premise to it.
No, yeah.
So Hurley's like, I don't have to prove anything to you. You can either come with or not. Or keep trying to blow stuff up. Richard said Hugo's lying because Jacob never tells us what to do. And Richard said if the monster leaves the island, it's all over. Ben decides to go with, so does Miles with Richard. I wonder why Miles went. Maybe just because he was ready to leave? No, he's trying to blow it up. That doesn't make sense, really, why Miles would go with Alpert there. Let's see. So Jack is going with Hugo. I like the way that was kind of reversed from when Hurley's like, I'm not going with you, dude.
Yeah.
To where I'm with
you.
Yeah. They're going to talk to Locke, and Hurley's doing suspicious eyes again. Mm-hmm. At night in the jungle, they get a couple forever torches, and Son writes asking if they made a mistake. Frank's like, probably. Hurley asks how they break the ice with the smoke monster. That was pretty good. He admits to not seeing Jacob back there, and Jack's like, yeah, I know. Ever since I got Juliet killed, all I wanted to do was fix it, but I can't. It's hard to sit back and let other people tell me what to do. And he's like, but maybe that's the point. Maybe I'm supposed to let go. I mean, that's literally the point of this season, is that you have to let go.
Right.
So it's ironic that we're finally hearing him say that, come to that realization. Unless letting go gets us all killed, on the other side of that. Jack trusts Hurley, even though he has no idea where he's going. And then, boom, we get the whispers. And he's like, I think I know what they are. And he walks off, talks to Michael, and he's like, you're stuck on the island, aren't you? Yes, because of what I did. There's others out here like you, aren't there? They are the ones who can't move on. He shows Hugo where Locke is.
Oh, see, it wasn't just Casper.
Yeah, see?
I thought he said it.
Yeah, they're the ones who can't move on. And he asks what he can do to help Michael, and he's like, don't get yourself killed, because Michael needs him, because he knows he's going to take over somehow. I don't know how that works. Why? Maybe the dead, because like Christian said, there is no when. Maybe they can just see everything.
They just know they could. They're just riding this train back and forth on the timeline of life and watching things. Mm-hmm. Which, again, takes me back to my point of I hope that's not the case, because that's freaking weird.
To be able to just see everything.
For people, I mean, think about it. Like, do you really want, like, your dead family members watching you take a dump? Like, are there lines that are crossed as far as what they can see and what they can't if they're dead and they're watching you? I mean...
is that for the pure, like, I don't want to be embarrassed, or people to see some of my deepest, darkest, blah, blah?
I mean, you don't want... do you really think that dead people are watching you when you're having sex? Or, I mean,
wouldn't that be the only time they'd watch?
Just...
I know if I was dead.
They better not be up there just hanging out like, oh, what are you guys doing?
So Michael says, basically, don't get yourself killed, and if you see Libby again, tell her I'm very sorry. Hurley seemed to forgive him then.
But he said again.
No. Huh?
He said if you see Libby again? He hasn't seen Libby yet.
If you ever see Libby again.
Oh, if you ever.
Yeah. At the well, Man and Locke and Desmond arrive there, and he tosses a forever torch down there and asks him, plays the how old is this well game? And Desmond's like, very old. He's like, that is correct. So old, in fact, that the people who dug it did it by hand. They weren't looking for water. They were looking for answers as to why metal reacted weirdly and why compasses spun. Mm-hmm. They never found the answers, and he says Widmore's not interested in answers, only power. I don't know that I believe him in that regard. I mean, maybe.
I mean, but why would Man and Locke lie about that? Like, he's got nothing necessarily against Widmore, does he?
He's trying to kill him, presumably.
But why?
No, Widmore is trying to kill Man and Locke. I would think he sees him as a threat. He was already on the island once. He knows Widmore. Yeah, maybe he's telling the truth. I mean, maybe Widmore's come back with a different purpose, or maybe despite the way he's been kind of okay to certain people, maybe he is still, doing shit for nefarious
he's done nothing
reasons.
So far that leads us to believe that he's this terrible person, other than being super judgy with Desmond. But
fair enough.
You can chuck that up to him being a father.
Yeah. So he tells him this isn't the only well, and Desmond's like, and that's why you wanted me to see this? He's like, why aren't you afraid? You're out here with me alone. No one else knows you're here. What's the point of being afraid? Like, he's so chill.
Yeah.
Because he's seen the afterlife. In that flash, he went to the afterlife and saw how it's all going to be. And he's like, yeah, everything's going to be cool.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, as long as that ever happens, I'm good. Just all mellow hippie-ish. And back at Man and Locke's camp...
Is that when they paint the loft? Did we end up seeing that? I don't remember.
We did see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was out of order, right?
It was a dream. It was when he turned the key.
Oh,
to the hatch.
So it was a memory.
It may have been I don't know what it would have been. Yeah, maybe it was something that was created then because he actually traveled.
It was like an actual sideways.
Right. No, that sort of makes sense. Man and Locke tells Saeed they don't have to worry about Desmond anymore. Sawyer's grilling Locke, and then Hurley and them show up. He's like, I don't know who you are, what you want, but we have to talk. I don't want anyone killed, and I want your word that you won't do anything either. And he gives him his knife as well as his word. He's like, did I say knife, motherfucker? I said word. Not... Yeah. Frank, Son, and Jack come out of the woods, and he's like, hello, Jack. I was hoping you'd come. It was just all like menacing sounding.
Hello, Clarice.
Yeah. Jack and Man and Locke go do some catching up, but Jack asks Hurley's permission first, which interesting.
Because Hurley's the leader?
Yeah. Well, at this point, yeah. It doesn't bother Jack that he looks like Locke, just that he doesn't know what he is. He's like, why John Locke? He's like, because he was stupid enough to believe that he was brought here for a reason and died in pursuit of that belief, and you brought him back. And he's like, so he had to die before you could look like him. Who else have you looked like? He asks about his dad. He admits he was him, and it was just to help him find water, which I don't really know the reason for that.
Well, this is supposed to make Man and Locke look like he's a good guy. Like, well, I was just trying to help you guys find water when you needed it. So, you know, don't mind the fact that I killed the pilot and was ripping trees out of the ground.
And chased you through the woods.
And killed Echo, you know, like it was... those were nice things for me to do.
I mean, Echo probably deserved it. I mean, to be fair, he was a thug killer.
Trying to redeem himself.
He says he's only ever been interested in helping Jack to leave because Jacob chose you. Because when he chose you, you were trapped on this island before you even got here. Jacob's dead, so we don't have to be trapped anymore. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It has to be all of them or it won't work.
Does that mean that the bubble is gone right now then because Jacob is dead?
No, in the sense that
Homer Simpson dome is gone.
No, in the sense that they still can't just drive away. They still can't just boat out of there. Or maybe they can. Maybe
they could if they went at that bearing, I guess.
But the bearing is gone. They don't know the bearing anymore. That was the old bearing.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Remember how what's her name?
But how did Widmore get there?
He probably got a new bearing from
Eloise?
Yeah.
Like, hey, baby, let's rekindle.
Want some old wrinkly? Locke was the only one who believed in this place and did everything he could to keep them from leaving, is what Jack tells him. Locke wasn't a believer. He was a sucker. Claire comes out of the woods after following them.
It really makes you feel bad for Locke. The whole...
Yeah, they're just shitting on him. Yeah. Well, I mean, his whole life was...
to be awful.
Jack and Claire get to reunite for the first time as siblings. Locke leaves, and she asks if he told Jack about pretending to be their father. She gave up hope about them ever coming back, and it means a lot that he's coming with her as she has never had much family. And he's like, yeah, I haven't decided yet. She's like, no, yeah, you have. The second you let him talk to you, you decided. Why do people keep fucking saying that?
Right, like...
He's convincing, sure, but he's not 100, like, that's not the way it always is.
I mean, he talked to
Saeed.
Son, and she made her own decision, and she ran the other way. Sure, she knocked herself out, but, I mean...
And couldn't talk, yeah.
She did make a decision to leave him.
Day 11, Hurley finds out about Widmore's sub. Sawyer's telling him, and then Kate's telling Son. Saeed isn't invited. He's gone to the dark side. He's like, you can bring people back from the dark side. Anakin. I was like, yes.
I know.
Anakin is my favorite. Claire walks up, and Man and Locke and Jack
Sawyer
are back
was like,
too.
who's Anakin?
Yeah, he's like, who's that? Saeed is different now. They all are. Tina Fey comes into the camp asking for who's in charge, and you took something from us and we want it back. She radios and says to show them what they're capable of, and they shoot a missile near the camp.
Yeah.
And it explodes.
Are you sure that it wasn't the same missile that blew up Alana?
Maybe it was. I took a screenshot of when they were walking to that tree. I want to find that when I go back to Hawaii eventually.
Are you going back?
We have to go back. I mean, give me a fucking break. I would love it if you guys came. I'm saying eventually, not like anytime
it's just
right
so
away.
Pricey.
Maybe, but if we did it right, we could have saved so much money. If we had just gone to Walmart, like rented a car on day one, gone to Walmart and bought a bunch of food, we could have hung out on Waikiki Beach for a week.
There's got to be like Airbnb. We just buy a flight, go to Hawaii, show up, be like, "Can I stay with you?"
I mean, what?
I'll pay you $50
I
a
literally
night.
just want to go around the island and you can drive the whole thing in a day if you need to.
Yeah.
But why would you rush? I don't know. There's so many cool places to go. I don't know. That would be an awesome week.
I know 2 people that live in Hawaii
that
I graduated with.
Well, good. We can stay with them.
Yeah.
Done.
Right.
You stay with one, I'll stay with the other. So she tells him that he has until nightfall to return what you took. She gives him the walkie and he smashes it and says, well, here we go. Man and Locke spins it as if he didn't take Desmond and uses it as a way to say they'll get a confrontation if they want one. Like he's trying to turn it so like, look, they're being the aggressors here.
Well, but they lied about having Jin, so why can't they lie about having Desmond?
Yeah.
Although you claim that Widmore didn't know that they had Jin at that point in time.
He didn't. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he did. I mean, they could have radioed him, I guess, but
Hey, we have Jin.
Yeah, we totally have Jin. Well, but he didn't want them to take Jin, so maybe
I thought that he talked to Jin.
After that.
Oh.
Man in Locke gives Sawyer a map to a boat, and Sawyer asks Kate to come with him. He asks Jack for a hand and says, we're not going to the rendezvous point. I got to deal with Widmore, and tells him to meet at a dock and grab Hugo, Sun, and Lapidus. And, says Saeed's a zombie and Claire's a nut. She tried to kill Kate and lost her spot then. And Man in Locke tells Saeed to go kill Desmond. I mean, what is the threat of Desmond? That he doesn't fear him? Is that it? Because he could have couldn't he have killed him?
Couldn't who have killed him?
Man in Locke. Why does he need Saeed to do it?
Maybe he just didn't want to.
Maybe it was a test for Saeed to see if he would do it or not. I don't know.
I think he just didn't quite know what Desmond's play was at this point, so he just wanted to keep him alive to see where he'd go with it.
Maybe. So Saeed goes to kill him, and Desmond's just sitting there, and he's like, what did he offer you? If you're going to shoot me in cold blood, the least you could do is tell me what he promised my girlfriend back. And, she's dead. And, what will you tell your girl when she asks what you did to be with her again? It's an interesting question. I mean, I would just lie.
I murdered someone that I didn't care about.
I would just simply lie. Why would you have to tell her the truth in that scenario?
Well, because when you're dead, you can't lie. You have to do things pure of heart. We just had this conversation.
Go to the boat. Sawyer and Kate find the boat, and he tells her about ditching Locke. Yumi, Jack, Hurley, Sun, and that pilot that looks like he stepped off the set of a Burt Reynolds movie. We're all going, what about Claire? And then they go out to the boat. In the jungle, Man in Locke's leading the pack, and Jack asks her how long she's been with Locke, asks Claire, since they left, and she does trust him. He's the only one who didn't abandon her. I mean, ouch. Talk about passive-aggressive.
I mean, she freaking left them.
For him. For Man in Locke.
Yeah. You walked away from your child and your friends.
Yeah, for your dad.
You're going to blame them for leaving the island? I don't get that.
Man in Locke asks if Sun has seen Saeed, then gives her shit for not talking. And she writes that he did this to her. He's like, I didn't do anything. You ran into a tree. He goes back to make sure no one got left behind, and then Claire notices the group forming, like Jack and Lapidus and them, and they take off, and she's pissed, thinking she's getting ditched again. Which, do you blame them? I see why you're getting ditched.
Right.
Sort of a bummer.
You're crazy.
Sort of a bummer.
You need to brush your hair.
Yeah, I mean, maybe ask for a brush.
Right.
Like, Kate clearly has one.
There's,
She
and
clearly
some
has
moose.
Moofs. Hashtag moofs. Hair moofs. Hashtag hair moofs.
Stop. Oh, my God.
I can't wait to see how moofs is spelled. I'm thinking Moofs.
Yes,
Moofs.
yes.
Oh,
Shut
I'm
up.
sorry. It says moops. It's the Moors. It says moops. In the jungle, Saeed is questioned by Locke, and he's like, I just shot an unarmed man. I needed a moment. So he's lying to him, and do you think this is where he's gaining back his humanity? Or he's not with Locke anymore?
I guess.
By not killing Desmond?
They made it out like he was supposed to be this, zombie.
But he's coming back.
I can feel like a hair in my mouth. That's really weird. I guess he's coming back a little bit maybe he was just so zoned out because he was thinking I'll do whatever it takes to see whatever her name is again.
Nadia.
I forgot her name.
Yeah, Nadia.
That one.
No, Shannon is her name.
Shannon. Whoever. One of those dead chicks.
Jack and crew are looking for the rendezvous point, and Hurley spots the dock. Not Jack, the dock with the boat. Sawyer knows the only way off is via sub without a bearing, and then Claire shows up, making it a hostage situation.
Why can they come and go on the sub without a bearing?
I don't know that they can, but he thinks they can.
I know that he's seen them come and go off the island, but they have to still have a bearing unless
think so.
this invisible dome just hits the water and then stops. You can swim under it.
Right. Again, the island will have been done with them when they leave,
right.
So it won't matter. Kate tries to explain, says they're leaving the island. We're not going with Locke, and they invite her to come with. And Kate's like, look, if she's not going, I'm not going. So she promises her she was there when he was born, and she never should have raised him. So Kate was the person that was the title of Raised by Another. That was Claire's episode. When I think it was the one where she gave birth, or one of the first where the said she can't be raised by another, and he was by Kate. She was the other.
I just don't understand why Kate feels like she shouldn't have done that. Like, what should she have done in a different scenario? She should have just left the baby there for Claire to come back and find him?
I don't know. Yeah,
when she felt like it? Claire's
being selfish and not realizing that she literally chose to not come with them or stay with them and be part of the group.
Right.
So she says she came back to get Claire so she can be with him again. She joins them and gives up her gun to Kate, and she's like, if he finds out, he's going to be mad. Well, yeah, duh.
Well, absolutely.
On the boat, Chesty asks what the plan is. And Sawyer tells him, get cozy with Widmore, get on the sub, and makes someone take us off the island. Sawyer talks to Jack, and he didn't think Jack would show up.
Do, 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 do.
Okay. That was good timing, right? The music just ended. So he didn't. Sawyer didn't think Jack would show up, first of all, and then Jack's like, it doesn't really feel right to leave the island. I remember how I felt.
We're supposed to do stuff.
I remember how I felt last time I left. Like a part of me was missing, and he goes, "They make pills for that, Doc."
Yeah,
which is what Jack was all whacked out of.
Yeah.
They were brought here to do something. He sounds like Locke, 100%. If Man and Locke wants him to leave, maybe he's afraid of what happens if they stay. He's again fighting Locke.
Yeah.
But he's on Locke's side, but now fighting somebody, the personification of Locke. Unbelievable. Sawyer tells him to get off the boat if he's not with them, and Jack's like, the island isn't done with them yet. He takes a leap of faith, but before he does, he says, I'm sorry that I got Juliet killed. And Kate asks what Sawyer said to him, and she goes, we have to go back and
she
get him.
She did say that. I was like, what?
See, everybody comes around to we have to go back, Kate. We have to go back. On the beach, Jack makes it to shore, and Man and Locke is right there waiting for him with everybody else. If he was there by himself, makes sense. But he's in the exact spot where Jack's going to wash up on shore or swim up to.
Is that by the dock
group?
That they just left? Like
No.
they were walking to the dock? No, it was just random?
Just random.
Okay.
Seems pretty random.
Yeah.
Again, if he was there, if he smoke monstered over,
Yeah,
that would that would make sense. But Man and Locke knows Sawyer took his boat, and first time I remember him calling him Sawyer.
What did he call him before?
James. He
Oh.
always called him James. You know what? Because he saw that he conned him. So he called him by his con man name. That's fucking awesome. I just figured that out.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right? There's no other
Gotta be.
explanation for that. He's always called him James.
Yeah.
Okay. He was like, well, he's never conned me.
His mom saying that she made dinner or something?
Yes. He gave him the choice, to do the right thing.
Right.
And in his mind, he did the wrong.
Sawyer can't ever make the right
Sawyer.
choice.
Back on Hydra Island, Tina Fey tells them to turn the fences off. And Jen
Thank goodness they did it right then.
Jen and Sun see each
Because
other.
they're like...
I thought for a second they would get shocked, and I've seen the episode before.
I know.
I thought, oh my god.
Oh my god, did they shut him off
Right
yet? They're bleeding from the ears.
Yeah,
Why are they...
they just die right then. Would have been a better ending
It
for them.
probably would have been.
Sun can talk again. They say they love each other.
I love you. I was waiting for her to say Jin Sushi.
She got her voice back, and they'll never be apart again.
That's true.
And did you see Sawyer? He was so sad. He was thinking about Juliet.
Yeah.
And
that's okay. They're going to die.
You're going to die. Widmore tells them to turn on Sawyer, basically, and the deal's off. And they start firing at Man and Locke.
Why is the deal off? What did Sawyer do wrong?
I don't know.
Was he supposed to bring more? Was he supposed to bring Man in Lock there?
I don't think so. He's already been there. They already talked on Hydra Island.
Right. So I don't understand why the deal's off.
Just maybe Widmore's a piece of shit.
Oh, wow! Didn't see that coming.
Jack nearly gets blown up. Like, he gets blasted down the beach, and that was awesome. And then Locke saves him from getting hit by the second one, throws him over his shoulder, carries him off, sets him down by a thing,
I
and
feel like we've seen Locke carry people before. Boone?
Yes.
And
his dead father on his back in a that was the big one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the one where he did it for a long time.
Strong actor.
And just like, boom.
They were like, you're going to have to carry lots of people.
He's 60.
Can you do that?
Right, you're going to have to carry people. Can you handle that or not?
Yeah.
I mean, they could have put
We're going to put people on your back.
Yeah.
Fake people? That's a lot of makeup.
Makeup?
I mean, to have to make a fake...
A dummy?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's what they do. They figure out a way to make it easier for the actor. Get a stunt double to be carrying
Stunt double that's bald. Anybody? 60?
I mean, they would have somebody. The Rock has a stunt double.
Really?
You know, yes, everybody has a stunt double.
I don't.
Well, that's your fault.
I need one.
Well, get a stunt double. Sam
taking...
has a stunt double. It's Seth. When he needs to do some gymnastic shit, we call Seth in.
I'll take resumes to Jenna@regionaldata.com for my stunt double.
Please send any stunt double resumes to Jenna@regionaldata.com. Man in Lock assures him it's going to be okay. You're with me now. And that's the end of the episode.
And he's like, am I?
I guess if I have to be.
I'm not really sure if I made the right decision. Where's Hurley? He's with Jack.
He's on the boat.
No, he's on the boat? Are you sure? Hurley went with...
Yeah. Hurley found the dock. He spotted it through the trees. Yeah, he's on the boat.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. But they didn't show him really much.
No, he went downstairs to eat when Desmond offered food. Or when Frank found food. He's
food?
like, ooh.
Min.
Yeah.
Is there ranch dip?
Probably. I made it 30 years ago, so it's probably great. He doesn't remember that he made it. Yeah, so, I mean, that's the end of episode 94. I think there's 2 more episodes before we go to the Sideways.
Nice.
So 2 more things to conclude all the on-island stuff. I will say it's not as good as the original ending in terms of emotional. Like the flashing back.
I have not missed the flashing. I have not.
No, I mean, literally for the reconnections at the end of the series.
Oh, yeah.
It's not as good in that regard. It's not quite as emotional because you're not seeing them suffering still and then boom, they reconnect. Right. Like, oh, they will be happy in the afterlife. Yeah. Even though we didn't know it was that then. Whatever. So we'll be back next week because... This is how to watch TV. Subscribe and shit. See you later.
Don't subscribe and shit.
All these memories in my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind, my mind. I'm still a secret lemonade drinker.